My name is Rashmi, and I am a part of Nagarro. Welcome to the speaker interview session of AI Test Fest 2026. This is the second edition of AI Test Fest and organized by Nagarro and ATA jointly. This is planned for 9th of May in Nagarro office. So, welcome as a speaker. So let's start with your introduction first.
Sure,
We would like to know more about you. What do you do as a profession, and also maybe personally, what are your hobbies? Yeah,
sure, definitely. Uh, my name is Ameya. I'm from Pune, Maharashtra, and currently I'm working with the organization called ClearRoute, which also a platinum sponsor of this event. And also currently I'm working as a quality cloud architect, where I've been working with multiple engagements and improving their quality engineering. And I've been working in quality engineering and performance testing for over a decade. And the strong focus on building scalable, you know, QA automation frameworks, applying test pyramid principles. And so, of course, recently, like everyone else, I have started exploring AI and how can we use, and my journey has been started like 1.5 years back. And so I came up with I faced one issue in my recent engagement, that a developer is allowed to use GitHub Copilot and they are writing a hell lot of codes, and PR is kind of pile up, and unit tests, integration tests, they're also adding it using AI. But still, there are some defect that has been missed out from those test cases. So this is where I dig down deeper, and I kind of started with a simple approach, that how can we use a lightweight guardrails to ensure that AI generated tests are actually meaningful, and also share a concept of how can we use multi-agent system which can review and improve the test artifacts. So this is my whole demonstration or session topic. And in terms of hobby, I like to ride a motorcycle and go on a short road trip. And I'm also a gym freak.
good.
So yeah, that's all
Good
about
to
me.
know that, Amya. I think so. I have a common interest with you. I also like to ride bikes, so maybe we can connect on that later. But
Definitely.
yes, very interesting topic. AI can write tests, but are they good?
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you a few questions. You already told like why you chose this topic,
Mhm.
but let's say you're saying that we are now basically doubting the test cases which are generated by AI. So what
Mhm.
makes a good test versus just a working test? What, in your opinion, what is a good test?
Uh, so good test is so of course whenever I'm kind of creating a test cases, I always kind of apply the testing pyramid principle. So let's say if I'm writing unit test, so I'll start with a very basic, that what is the scope of my unit test? Okay, it's a function, then multiple functions or some other libraries, and depend upon that, I'll write my test case. Let's say if we are talking about functional test case, so obviously I'll always start with a very uh, basic business logic around it, like positive test cases, negative test cases, as well as I will add some flavor of edge cases which comes to my mind. And let's say the feature is not yet built. So using my imagination, using my creativity, or using my past experience, I can write my own edge cases and negative scenario as well as some performance oriented functional cases. Like I'll try to break the function, I'll try to, tweak the function, something like that. And so if you ask me personally, my honest opinion will be, there will be no ideal test cases, because you never know, because how the function is or how the feature is. If you are already tested that feature, like do you have the previous experience of that particular feature of the software, then definitely you can say that, hey, this is one particular end-to-end flow is kind of ideal, which can cover all the, which can touch base upon all the critical function of that flow. But uh, to be honest, there is no such thing called ideal test case. But yeah, I'm open for debate.
Yeah. No, that's right. So, to a certain extent, I also agree. But okay, so what are the most common issues that you could, see in the AI generated tests, and hence you also chose this topic. So, what are some of the common issues that
So
you were?
I have seen, especially with the developer, like for example, every developer has their own style. So obviously, the way they are interacting with the AI coding tools, their interaction will be also depend upon their own style. So for example, some people will use extensive prompts, some people will use like very lazy prompts, and based on that, AI will give you the output. So there is no uniformity, there is no kind of compliance over there. So basically, if we set up some sort of guardrails in our repo, I'll give very basic example. For example, let's say I'm a developer and I have written a one API and I want to create a unit test for those that API. So maybe I'm a very lazy guy. I'll just ask Copilot that, hey, looking at this code, can you just give me all the necessary unit test cases and make sure those are passing? So if I'm not vigilant, if I'm not that, not following the due diligence, then AI can give me the output. Of course, it can, but there will be like, it's something like true is equal to true, you know. So you never know. But this guardrails, this basic simple guardrails will create a uniformity in a development team, and so that whatever their interaction with the AI and what kind of test cases that they are generating, or even the code as well, you can actually put a complaint over there that, hey, you can't create these kind of test cases for we have defined a policy that there has to be, for example, there has to be like four positive test cases, four negative test cases, and two edge cases has to be there. And in that we can add a pattern as well, like what is a weak test, what is a okay test, or what is the acceptable test. So this kind of standard we can define in our development practice, and
Mhm.
that actually help to maintain the quality in all the piece of the software and in a development as well. And that's my understanding, and this is where I want to show that guardrail, that how can we implement and how can it will help the overall software team.
Cool. So, do you think AI can also understand business context well enough?
Uh, the answer is yes and no. Uh, because it's again it's a subjective question, because it's totally depend upon what kind of interaction that you are doing with the AI. So let's say if I just simply tell my GitHub Copilot or Cursor that identify this repo, and based on that just tell me what are the business use cases of this repo or the piece of code. So AI can use its own creativity, and whatever the data it has trained on, based on that it can give me the output. But what is your expected output, or what kind of output that you needed, and what kind of help that you is be what kind of help is needed for that question?
Mhm.
You have to give more prompt. You have to be create some sort of uniformity and compliant as well, because big enterprises they worry about the compliance. So I would say it's yes and no, and it's totally depend upon the human how he is interacting with the AI, and with the help of prompt, definitely AI can do any job, or it can give you any business use case as well, but totally depend upon human.
And would you recommend AI generated tests for production critical systems, maybe like banking or airlines?
Uh, if if that company, if that organization is allowing developer to write the production code using agentic AI or AI based tool, then I would say why not? But there has to be proper guardrails, there has to be proper compliance, there has to be some human in loop sort of thing should be there to make sure that critical or life impacting scenarios should not be missed out.
How much human review do you think is still required, while generating tests using AI? How
Mhm.
much is still necessary?
Uh, I can't say it in percentage, but let's say, for example, if I'm working with a one single developer, and if he has created a API and let's say, he has written, let's say, 100 unit tests, and I have added some 50 integration test, and using a AI, of course, then probably what I'll do, probably in a CI/CD, I will kind of add more people, or there has to be multiple ways we can do this thing. But again, there is no fixed answer, I would
No,
say.
I agree. Mhm. Okay, so what is that one key takeaway, you know, for the teams who are just starting to use AI
Mhm.
uh, for test generation?
Uh, I would say first understand what is the model. Not model, not don't go into deep. I would understand what is your use case, and uh, try out, do some POCs, and based on that POCs, analyze that POC, and then you can decide whether you have to implement the or AI agent or coding AI tools for the QA or SDET as well. So I would say it's try, experiment, and then decide.
All right. All right, Ameya. I think we are good to go. And welcome you again to AI Test Fest.
Thank you. Thank you
See
so much.
you on the 9th of May in
Sure.
Nagarro office.
Sure.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Have a
Bye.
great day. Bye bye.
Have a great day too. Bye.